Interesting fact, so these canals, the Venice Beach Canals, these are actually not the original canals of Venice Beach, but... So yes, today we're going to talk about real estate on the Venice Canals. We'll talk a little bit of history, prices, and things that you should know before you move to or buy on the canals. And now for a little bit of Venice Canals history. So yes, these are actually not the original canals of Venice Beach. In fact, they were built shortly after and were pretty much like a copycat of the originals. And according to some people, they were actually nicknamed the New Amsterdam Canals. Now, the original canals were built to the north next to Abbot Kinney Boulevard and were built by the founder of Venice Beach, Abbot Kinney, around 1905. Then around the late 1920s, as a result of cars, a bunch of neglect, and Venice Beach pretty much turning into one of the biggest oil towns in Los Angeles, the canals became less of an attraction and like more of a problem, and so they covered them up and replaced them with roads. Now, surely these canals were spared because they were like so beautiful and cool and like people really cared. Nope, actually no one cared. People were like, what? Cover them up for what? No one even goes there. Plus, we got no money. It's the Great Depression. Okay, so maybe no one cared. But fast forward to today and plot twist, this is now the most expensive neighborhood in Venice Beach. But this didn't happen like overnight. From like 1930 to like 1980, for almost 50 years, the canals pretty much looked like a third world country. Now, the first major attempt to renovate the canals was in the 1960s with a proposal that would have made them bigger and deeper so you could actually like go outside your house, jump on your boat, and like ride straight into the ocean, but that proposal ultimately failed. And it wasn't until around like 1976, partly on speculation that a renovation would eventually come, that you started seeing a shift from the small original bungalows to the multi-story like mini mansions that we see today. But it wasn't until almost 20 years later in 1993 that a renovation was finally completed, resulting in the canals going from this in the 1950s to this in 2023. Now, for all of this, a big credit goes to the Venice Canals Association and to like the residents of like almost 40 years ago, who through tons of volunteer work and a direct tax assessment made this renovation possible after almost 30 years of planning. But now let's talk real estate. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in Venice Beach. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And for a free consultation on buying or selling, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe. Now, the median price for a single family house on the canals is about $3.6 million, which based on sales in the past year makes this the most expensive neighborhood in Venice Beach. And per square foot, this is some of the most expensive real estate in Los Angeles. I mean, for example, here's a new construction that sold on the canals for about $6 million. 3,600 square foot house on a 2,800 square foot lot. Now, that same price in the also expensive neighborhood of Westwood gets you a massive 5,200 square foot house on a lot that is almost 3 times the size. So yes, per square foot of like combined land and house, the canals is some of the most expensive real estate in Los Angeles. The thing is, you just have smaller lots on the Venice Canals, with the typical lot size being about 2,850 square feet. But that hasn't really stopped people from like getting more land. For example, I helped my client buy this house about 2 years ago, but for the previous owners, this was only a guest house. They pretty much bought 3 lots, combined them, put them together, and created a 3-unit vacation compound. So when they came on vacation, it was pretty much like you get a house and you get a house and you get a house. But yes, houses have definitely gotten bigger on the canals. While some of the original houses were only like 500 square foot vacation bungalows, now the average house size is around 2,500 square feet. And because most of the original houses are now gone and the new ones were custom built throughout the years, the canals offer some of the most diverse and unique architecture in Los Angeles. Also, due to the principle of scarcity, with only about like 400 homes on the canals, people find that building and buying on the canals is a good and safe investment. So who lives on the canals? Well, historically, like the rest of Venice, artists, celebrities, and hip intellectuals have been drawn to the bohemian and free-spirited vibes of the canals. Now, famous past residents have included like Julia Roberts and Nicolas Cage, and interestingly, for almost 40 to like 50% of owners, this is a second home or a vacation home. But the community spirit lives on with stuff like the holiday boat parade and even an annual rubber ducky race. I mean, in what other neighborhood? But now here are just a few things to know before buying a house on the canals. One, so there's the mainland houses and then there's the island houses. Now the con of the island houses, limited access. Like if you forget something, there's only one street to get back to your house and it's a one-way street. So you would actually have to go like all the way around, and at 6 p.m. on a weekday, this can become a thing. Also, every Wednesday at 7 p.m., watch out for these guys or just join them. It's the Venice Run Club. Now, the pro of the island houses, limited access, which keeps things like a little bit more private and secluded. Also, you get to drive through the canal bridges every time you go home, which is amazing and super impressive when people visit you. Now, number two, a common question is like, what about these little docks? Like, can I put one in front of my house? Well, the quick answer is no, not really, like not anymore. To which, if a house has one, that is a major plus if it was installed legally. It turns out that there's a bunch of illegal docks on the Venice canals, which could potentially lead to costly fines or an expensive removal process. So yes, buyers, beware. And three, awareness of the Venice Canals Association. Now, it's a voluntary association, so you're not like really required to join, and it doesn't have like the restrictive properties of like a regular condo HOA. But considering the huge role the Venice Canals Association plays in protecting and preserving the canals, and for getting them to go from this to this, for what it's worth, I highly encourage current and future homeowners and tenants to at minimum pay the membership fee, which is only like $50 a year, and ideally, if you have it in your heart, to maybe like give a little more. And I'll put their information in the description below. And finally, one of my favorite things about the canals, aside from it just being like a really cool place to live, is that it's one of the most isolated, not isolated communities in Venice and Los Angeles. I mean, isolated because it's not like you have like cars driving right in front of your house. And aside from summer tourists, sometimes it feels like you're in your own little world far away from Los Angeles. But at the same time, you're within a short walking distance to like a bunch of cool hangout spots like Abbot Kinney Boulevard, Windward Avenue, the boardwalk, the beach, the marina, and like all the stuff on Washington Boulevard. I mean, there are very few neighborhoods in Los Angeles with such close proximity to so much diversity of things to do. So yes, when you buy a house on the canals, you're buying into a unique part of history in one of the oldest neighborhoods in Los Angeles, older than like Beverly Hills, Westwood, and actually most other neighborhoods in Los Angeles. You're also buying into the collective effort of thousands of people over a period of close to 30 years that help preserve and renovate the Venice Canals, a feat that would pretty much be impossible to replicate today. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in Venice Beach. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And for a free consultation on buying or selling, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe. But either way, thanks a bunch for watching and have an awesome day.